live on Facebook.
All right, look at that. Here we go.
Here we go. Well, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Kristen Agan. I'm the team leader for the Keller Williams Gulf Beaches office and one of the leaders here in the Chadwick group. So I am so excited to talk to you. Ryan, will you just give us a quick introduction of who you are and what
Yeah.
office market center you're out of?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Ryan Kirby. I'm with Keller Williams here in Seminole. Spent a little time over at the beach office before you got there, Kristen, but came back over to Seminole because this is where our home is. So yeah, love it. Been here pretty much, been with Keller Williams since I got licensed, and don't plan on leaving anytime soon.
Great. Well, awesome, Ryan. So tell me, how long ago was that? How long have you been with Keller Williams?
I am going on 4 years in July. So I got licensed, I don't know, I took the 2-week class, and got licensed, had no idea what I was getting into, and walked into the Keller Williams. I went to a couple Keller Williams offices to interview and chose this one mostly on the location, and Tracy was great. So so it'll be 4 years in July that I've been full-time real estate agent.
Congratulations.
Which is crazy. It's flying by.
Business for 4 years, yes. Well, I'm excited to hear what's happened over that time period. So tell me a little bit about what you did prior to real estate.
So I went to the University of Florida and got a degree in public relations. And then after we graduated, my wife and I moved out to Los Angeles for about a year. And I was doing some sports marketing, like selling to some colleges and high schools, just different apparel and gear and equipment. And then I was also serving tables. I had to work 2 jobs out there in LA because our rent was $2,300 a month for an 800 square foot apartment. So we loved LA, but we were getting married. So we moved back to Central Florida in Ocala. That's where we both went to high school, my wife and I. And I got a job working with the city of Ocala doing public relations and marketing. So worked with city council and city staff for about a year and a half. And then my wife and I, we went from Ocala to LA, and we realized Ocala is a little too small for us. And her mom lived here in St. Pete, and we had always loved Tampa Bay. So I got into IT staffing over in Tampa. So I was recruiting IT professionals for about another year and a half. And then my wife was pregnant with our first daughter, and we had just bought our house here in Seminole, and we didn't have the best experience with our real estate agent. So again, I was like, well, I hated driving to Tampa every day, putting on a suit, wearing the corporate lifestyle, making like $35,000 a year. And I was like, I'm going to just get into real estate. And again, had no idea what it all entailed. And here we are, for 4 years later. And, I couldn't imagine a better life. So it's really cool how it all worked out for sure.
That's awesome. So I'm sure there are no transferable skills whatsoever from PR to.
Yeah. And it's when I first got into real estate, I was like, I didn't even have to go to college for, to be a real estate agent, but I can't tell you how much that knowledge that I just learned from, school and also working for the city, I learned how to become a professional really quickly. And I think that in this business means so much. So, and then, obviously communication is everything too. So yeah, PR certainly helped. I can't argue with you there.
Well, that's something that I love about real estate is that no matter what somebody's background is, it seems like there's always some transferable skills that can come over and help you get so that you have some value right from the beginning, even as you're learning. So yeah, that's awesome. So you keep mentioning girls. So tell us about your family.
Yeah, so I'm married to my beautiful wife. We've been together since high school. That's the only reason I think I got so lucky. I kind of threw my coverage there. But married to Allie, and we've got 2 girls. I have a 3-year-old. Her name's Kenny, and then we have a 1-year-old. Her name's Aubrey. And they are just, they're the big Y, It's just you can have the worst day in real estate or the best day in real estate, and you go home and that smile pretty much changes everything for you. So yeah, awesome little girls.
I see that you have wisely come into the market center today and you're having this conversation and doing work where the 3 and 1 year old are not
Yes.
around.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I'm sure we'll get into how this, virus has changed our business a little bit. And I tried working from home. I promise I did. And I love them to death. But, when you're trying to prospect and you've got people yelling in your background, it's a little tough. So we have been at the office in the mornings, mostly just trying to knock out all the leads in before we get home and, our second job starts.
Yeah, I completely, I hear you. I hear you. I don't have children, Ryan. I do have dogs that are like children, and
Yes.
throwing balls during Zoom calls is not really the most
No.
professional.
No, yeah, no. Neither is watching, Frozen 2 or, yeah, Moana or whatever the movie is that day, right?
Right, absolutely. That's okay. That we have all adapted in this time and have found a way to get through it. So tell me, when you first started back 4 years ago, how did you start your business? What happened for you to start closing deals?
Okay, so it's funny. I tell this story because I see so many new agents get started and kind of take the same track as me of like, hey, I'm gonna get my license, and then people are just gonna start using me for real estate because I'm a real estate agent now. And I was in the little we have a little workspace area like you guys for new agents, and I was sitting in there. And I was like building my Facebook or website or something that, never is going to bring me any business. And Troy Walseth walks by and he's like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm just, building my website. And he's like, all right, hold on. And he goes back to his office and he 10 minutes later, brings me back a list of phone numbers. And he's like, here you go. This is what you need to be doing. So I came from a cold calling atmosphere. When I was staffing, we would make 100 calls by noon. So I wasn't really afraid of the phone call of the, the phone, but I certainly was anxious on failing, right? And not knowing what to say. So long story short, Troy started helping me just as a single agent, and I just saw his value and joined Troy and Chase's team. And my first year I closed I think a little over 7 million, 27 homes in my first year. And, I cannot stress how indebted I am to Troy and Chase. They just laid out a platform for me. Troy and I would meet once a week. We'd go over my 411, and it was just a very, just kind of accountability session. And again, I just had a daughter. We just bought a house. So there was some motivation. My financial thermostat was certainly there. And we just kind of sat down and I felt like, Troy and Chase always had my best interest. And so that was kind of how I got started. I did what they told me to do. It was mostly cold calls, and I did 2 open houses probably every weekend for that first year. So that's really how I built my business, was from just calls and open houses.
Awesome. So you brought up a couple of things that I want to circle back on.
Yeah.
Well, one is I agree. Troy, Chase, they're just amazing guys, and the whole Walseth and Lockhart Walseth teams, both of them. And I see it all the time. I see Troy help, he'll sit down with anybody and help them, show him his models and how he works. And I love that you got your start that way. I also got my start in real estate. My second and third deal came from somebody saying, "Here, you want to lead?" Oh, thanks. Appreciate that. So great to be in that kind of environment.
Yes, absolutely.
Sharing is caring, right?
Absolutely, for sure. I mean, again, I would have had no idea how to write a contract or get someone to a closing table if it wasn't for, those guys. So certainly grateful for that.
So you mentioned a 411 conversation, sitting down and talking about your 411, and that's accountability, obviously. For those of who don't know, tell us a little bit more about what a 411 is.
Yeah, so I come again from a PR background. So, I'm all about strategies and tactics to get to the goal. That's really what PR is. I think that's what makes it a little bit different than marketing. It's not really it's sales, but it's also more relationships, right? So when Troy was like, all right, we've got to set a goal. And we did it for the quarter. So like I had an annual goal, but we would work by the quarter. So let's just say, that quarter goal was to do $2 million in volume. We break it down on what activities I have to get to do there or to get there, right? So, the first week of the 4 weeks, it might be, 40 phone calls every day, 2 open houses, some pop-bys, and a farm. I used to farm, well, I still farm our old neighborhood. So those are really my 3 3 pillars were the open houses, the cold calls, and then my farm. So, and Troy, like obviously if I wasn't making the calls or doing the open houses, there were some questions about why I wasn't doing that. And, Troy knows me like really well. I mean, when I first got into business, he's like, how much money would you like to make to feel like you've had a great year? And I was like, $60,000. And, I think $60,000 is a lot of money for a lot of people. And we got started and he's like, yeah, you're going to do that. So for me, it was just like, I never got into real estate for the money. It just organically happens. But I think why Troy and Chase are so successful and the agents that are really doing this at a high level is they care, and they care. So just learning from Troy, like how to treat other agents, how to treat your people, how to treat your vendors and your partners. It's just, he just showed me a really good example of like what being a good human being is. And that's more important than like sometimes just being a good realtor. So yeah, I learned a lot from those guys. And the 4-on-1 was, again, just to keep me accountable, still use it to this day, have my team doing it now. So it's just a quick thing. You can put it right in front of your computer and you're always looking at it and you kind of know what your game plan is. So that was huge for me.
So it was a breakdown of your strategies and what you needed to do to accomplish in the now to make those goals and strategies come to life.
Yep, exactly.
Awesome. You also mentioned financial thermostat, and then you went into that a little bit more as well. You knew what you wanted to earn, and that was a must-have for you in that time.
Yeah. Troy asked me what my bills were every month, and and I think that's a cool thing, but it's also when you're coming from maybe a different industry, you're like, oh, maybe a little invasive. But I knew Troy was coming from a good place, so he wanted to know what I had to make minimum every month to survive, but also how can we, obviously increase that and create a really cool lifestyle for us. And then obviously Bold, I did Bold like in my first couple months of being in real estate, went to family reunion my first year. Like those things just are complete game changers for a mindset. So I just, I'm going to say it, I drank a little bit of the Kool-Aid, but I loved the taste of it. So I just kept it going.
Well, I got to say, already we're like 17 minutes in, and you've talked about mindset. You've talked about having a clear strategy. And something else that you've talked about that just is so clear already in this conversation is that who you're in business with matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and that has truly set you up for the success that you're seeing now.
Oh, yeah.
To be able to be mentored and be in the space of top producers like the Walseths. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sandy Hartman, like Troy, Sandy, Karen McConnell. I mean, all of these big hitters in our area that have been doing this for a long time at a high level, they're just, how can we help? How can we, do you want to pick our brain about some things? Like, I mean, just I can't stress how Allie and I are just so grateful for Keller Williams and the family that we've built here. It goes beyond like our imagination. I mean, if you would have asked me 4 years ago what my life would have looked like now, I'm blown away. So it's really, really cool.
That's the $36,000 you were making.
Yeah. It's more than my initial goal for sure.
Right. And I know that it's not all about the money. It's
no.
about
And that was the crazy thing is like, last year was our best year we'd ever had. And it just, again, organically happened. We don't spend money for leads or anything. So like we've got a pretty low overhead. And, when I was looking at our numbers, over 50% of our business comes from sphere of influence and referrals. So, and just like Troy, that's what you want, right? If you're in the business for 3 years, and that's what Troy always used to tell me, if you can stick in the business for 3 years, like after that third year, you're going to start to see a lot of repeat business. And, not that the lead gen slows down when that happens, but it's certainly nice to get a call and just say, hey, can you come list my house? Or, hey, can you help my friends and family? And that's, you know, that's what you want, right? You want your people to know that you care about them and that they can trust you as a resource. So we're super grateful for it, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And that you've nailed it on the head. That's exactly what NAR statistics showed last year, that the number one thing sellers and buyers want in an agent is to know that they can trust them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, and that's the reason I got into the business, is because we had an agent that we would never trust again. So we had to replace a $4,000 panel box after we closed. And yeah, that was kind of the reason I got into the business, because I think a lot of consumers, they don't know. So they just go with the first real estate agent that they meet at an open house, or as a seller, they go with the first person they interview. And, you know, unfortunately, there's a lot of real estate agents out there, and there's a lot of really good ones, but there's also some ones that, you know, may not have your best interests. So yeah, that's always the number one, you know, obviously goal for us, is to make sure that our people know we care, and we are there to help them out any way we can, not just, you know, selling their house.
Right, right. So I'm sure in that first year and getting to where you are now, and we'll talk more about what that looks like, that you had some obstacles to overcome. So talk us through a little bit what your obstacles were, to get to where you are now.
Yeah. So I would say, you know, the first, it's not an obstacle, but like I said, you know, we had just had our first baby. So the balance, right? I love being a dad, and I love my wife, and I love being a partner to her and helping out. You know, I didn't want to be that dad that just gets home at 8 o'clock, gives their kids a kiss, and, you know, goes to sleep. So I would say the balancing of time was a little bit of a challenge at first, because again, you know, when you are in your first year, my mindset was just grind, grind, grind. And I was doing open houses, like I said, on Saturdays and Sundays, and, you know, working a lot. You know, a couple of my first deals were up in Pasco County, so I'd be driving, get home at 8 o'clock. So I think the timing was a little bit of a struggle for me at first. But then it's just about putting on a calendar and making sure that you follow that. So I got better at that. I would say the other challenge that I had in my first year was just, again, like not necessarily knowing what to say. But, you know, I look back and I closed over 25 homes in my first year, and I'm like, you know, granted, Troy helped with that and Chase helped with that, right? Like, they were always there for me when I needed questions, but you know, just not really knowing. But again, that's why I got on a team, and they helped me overcome I mean, most of the obstacles I did come across, my team helped me get over them really quickly and ethically and professionally. So, I mean, I don't know if I can say that I had a ton of obstacles, honestly, like, other than the just balancing of time, but that was about it.
Have you read The One Thing by Gary
Yes.
Keller? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he talks about counterbalance in there.
Yes.
Do you remember the juggling story?
Yes, I do. I actually, I watched, we had our team meeting today on my team, and I played Jay Papasan's TED Talk about The One Thing. And yeah, I love it. I mean, you know, when you start thinking about time in a very small capacity, rather than like, oh, we've got 24 hours in the day, you know, you start thinking backwards, and, you know, it's just so important. You know, time, this business is very busy, and it can definitely overwhelm you if you let it. But yeah, the whole just making sure you prioritize and spending those 2 hours every day on the most important things. But again, I didn't know that until I came to Keller Williams. So it's like, the business has changed my mindset, and my kind of, I guess, my business overall. So yeah, I love The One Thing.
Yeah, I love that juggling story, because what he's quoting somebody, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the reference. I'm sure the book's over there. He talks about how, if you consider the different areas of your life, that they're bounceable balls.
Mm-hmm.
Yet health and your family and your key relationships, those are made of glass. If
Yeah.
you drop them, they'll shatter.
Yeah.
So yeah, things like our career, you know, we can let that bounce on the floor, and it will come back up, and we'll be able to still continue to balance, or juggle instead of balance. He talks about counterbalance in that. And we all know that getting any business off the ground takes it's like launching a rocket ship. You've got
Yeah.
got some extra energy to put into it to get it to take off, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
figuring out timing in that, it can certainly be an obstacle. So obviously kudos to you for doing it and growing a family through it. So
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
before we jump into your schedule and all of that, you've mentioned you have a team now, and I know you had a great year last year, Ryan. Tell us a little bit about what your results were last year and what the makeup of your business is right now.
Yeah. So last year was kind of, it was an awesome year. I started Curb Appeal Homes, I guess it was in like the end of 2018. So I left the team and came back. And at this point, like, I think this is really important to share. So when I came back to this office to start my own team, I was on the verge of quitting real estate. Like I said, I had a great first year. My second year was a little shaky, and still had a baby. And I come from a consistent salary. So I was like, man, this is just like really, it was really wait. I hadn't closed a deal in like 3 months, and I went to Troy, and I was like, and Troy and I like left his team, still great friends. Like, I can mastermind with him any day of the week, and I love him for that. And I hope he knows how much. Love you, Troy. But yeah, so I came and talked to Troy, I talked to Chase, I talked to Tracy, I talked to really all my people, right? And was like, listen, I'm thinking about leaving the business. And they're like, you are going to make a big mistake if you do that. And they asked me, like, do you think you could go work for someone else from 9 to 5? And that was kind of a telling question. So I was like, probably not. So I came back to the office as a single agent and was like, you know what, I'm going to start a team. And I didn't really I didn't really want to start a team. I'm sorry. I just was like, I'm going to brand myself, and I get this Curb Appeal Homes thing going. And then like, it was like just God and timing and everything that kind of plays out. And I ended up coming back and like getting a couple listings, getting the business going in the right direction. My wife was working, and like she was an office manager for a large construction company here locally. So she was we had gotten pregnant with another baby, and she was kind of over, the 9 to 5 as well. And I was like, well, how about you just come run the admin side of my business? Cause I had a transaction coordinator and she was great, but I was like, you know what, if Allie can work with me, let's just see how it goes. And so Allie started to work with me last year. And so last year I had her on pretty much for the entire year. And then we brought on a buyer's agent who we went to college with up in Gainesville, Roger Madrazo. He was doing real estate over in Tampa with Keller Williams. He grew up in Tampa. And I was trying to focus more on listings. So we brought him on last year. So he got started around June, July of last year. And so last year we closed 39 units for right around $8.5 million in volume. And about 52% of our business came from sphere of influence and like referrals. And then 20% came from open houses. So we do a lot of open houses and like I said, farming. So like most of our business was sphere of influence, open house, and then, a couple sign calls and that kind of deal to make up the rest of it. But that was what our year looked like last year.
Actually, Ryan, I think that's your adjusted volume through KWI, because I see Broker Metrics has you at 39 units, 38 and a half for 9.2. So
okay, well, hey.
So you even had a little bit more than that.
Hey, I'll take it. Thanks, Kristen.
You're underselling yourself. You're welcome. Hey, I'm here for the stats.
I'm going to use 9.2 moving forward. That's for darn sure.
$9,265,190.
That sounds so much better. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Let's get over 10. Let's get over 10.
Yeah. Oh no, we're getting over 10 this year for sure. But yeah, and again, like last year, when the year ended, and I looked at the numbers, I was obviously super happy and pay attention. But I also was just like, it happened organically. Like it just happened, and we were able to buy a new house this year, and like it made life so much not that money makes everything, but like it definitely helps, right? Like you can help people, you can help your family, you can put your life in a pretty good situation. And so this year we are pretty much all of our deals that we've closed this year literally have all come from sphere of influence and open houses. So we're kind of on the same track, this year moving forward. We spend a little bit of money on Facebook leads, but that is about the only advertising dollar that we have.
Sure. So I love that you say it just happened, and I am 100% confident that it just happened because of the work, the strategies, and the follow through that you created.
Yes. Yes.
Make it just happen.
Yes. But like for me, like that's like
it just happens.
it didn't just happen, right? But like for me, that's like second nature, right? Like I don't know how to do anything else but like come in and work and grind. So, but yeah, I mean,
let's talk about that, Ryan. Tell me what prior to the pandemic, tell me what your schedule looked like on a daily basis.
So usually up with the girls at like 6:30 or 7, and get a little exercise in the mornings. And we used to be like 2 minutes from the office. Now we're like 20 minutes. So got a little bit of a drive in, but we're at the office at 8:30. From like 8:30 to 9, we're usually doing some role plays or some scripting, and then just kind of talking about business that we have going on. From 9 or 9:15 to about 11:30, we are all prospecting. So I've got, like I said, Roger Madraza, who's working with me now. He's making his calls. And then we just brought on my sister-in-law, like right as all of this was happening. And so she's also doing some prospecting, and then same with me. So we're all making call. And right now, like I said, we usually do farming and open houses. So that's another type of lead generation. But right now it's mostly phone calls and just care calls to past clients and Sphere, and maybe some nurtures that we've had. So that's usually our business from like 9 to 11. Last week we went and did some door hanging. Like it just kind of depends on, that strategy for the week. But we're usually here just grinding it out until about 11 or 12. And with since this pandemic has happened, obviously it's everyone's health first. And so usually we've been out of the office by like 1 or 2 after we get the main things taken care of. But before that, we were, here till 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock every day, just following up on appointments, sending out listings to buyers. I mean, I was out with this whole thing. I was going to get toilet paper and food for clients, like whatever we can do to help, right? Because sometimes in real estate, you can have an awesome day in 2 hours, and then the rest of the day is free. So it's just about, just finding where you can provide a little bit more value. And that's usually what our schedule looks like. And then again, the weekends, it's at least one open house a weekend for us.
Sure. Okay. So you mentioned value and the value that you can provide. Tell me about what your unique value proposition is, and why, what has it been about that has created this great referral network for you to get your sphere of influence to refer business to you?
Well, just like Troy and Chase and Sandy and, all these other great agents out there, it's just caring. Truly I can't tell you, it's awesome because when we call our past clients to like appreciation events or pop buys or whatever the case may be, it's not a nervous conversation. I'm calling them, and most of them have become friends of ours. So, I think that's how I was raised, and I just have a natural I'm a high I too, so that doesn't.
I'm so surprised. Normally I'm looking at the clock like, do we have enough to fill? And I'm like, oh, Ryan's doing great. He's filling the time without a problem.
100%. Yeah, I will keep talking until you tell me to stop. But I do I like people like me, and I like to feel like I'm helping people out, and they feel like they have value. So I really think I can't tell, just going above and beyond, right? Like going to the inspection, going to the closing, going to, get them a closing gift, going to throw them a housewarming party. You are sending them a list of utilities or helping them set up their utilities before they even get in. Just doing the little things, helping them pack boxes or getting a resource from the pack boxes, or helping them get an electrician, or helping them get them a plumber. Just those little things that, you should have as a real estate agent, because you want to be the trusted resource. And when you do have every tool in your toolbox to make this as smooth and stress-free as possible, because obviously there's always going to be some stuff that comes up, but if you are well prepared and willing to help and care, I think that's why we're in the position we're in. So yeah.
You said so many things there for the agents who are watching this or are going to watch it. Take notes during that, rewind, listen to it again, because you went from events to pop buys to setting up utilities to housewarming parties and so many fun things in there that to you it's just part of your business plan, but to others that's what is going to help set them apart. I heard Gary Keller talking this morning on his How to Think Like a CEO on episode 4 of season 4. He was talking about creativity and how the last thing you want to do in creativity is start with raw ideas. Like, think of them out of thin air. The best thing in creativity is to R&D, rip off and duplicate, right? And find somebody else who's done something great and then make it your own. And all that you just said made me think of a quote that I heard today. Matt Green with KWRI leadership team, he said that there is very little traffic in the extra mile. There's not a lot of people who go that extra mile, and it's those things added up, Ryan, that creates that loyalty. And I just have to finish this off, and that's another thing that Gary said on the podcast today is he said that well, it wasn't today, I listened to it today, is that loyalty only means that you're going to give that brand that you're loyal to the first shot to earn your business. It doesn't mean that they're going to go with you if you don't provide the service that they want. However, if you've created loyalty, they're going to give you first right of refusal, basically. They're going to give you first option to earn their business. So I loved that idea of loyalty because we can get rest on our laurels and you know, and not necessarily fulfill what we've done in the past if we're not careful. So remembering that loyalty just means that somebody's going to give you the opportunity to earn their business again.
Absolutely. And don't forget, you set expectations the last time, you know, during that process. So that's when systems come into place, right? So if you have systems and every transaction is pretty simple, you know, as far as the system sides go, you know, you're checking off the same boxes every single time. So, you know, in real estate, you know, there's curveballs, you know, in every different transaction, there's something new that pops up. But as long as you have the right systems in place, I think, you know, the client, the consumer is going to have a good experience. At least with us, they're going to have a good experience. And I have to shout out to the Piamba Home team for the client appreciation events and the whole, like, just pouring into your people. They're so good at it, and really just kind of, like you said, ripped off and duplicated their model, and they gave me permission, and that's fun, right? Like, I love hanging out with past clients and putting on events and, you know, doing cool little pop-bys. And we did a virtual scavenger hunt and, you know, had a bunch of people on. It's just cool. It's fun. It's obviously top of mind. That's so important in our business. So it's just a way to keep, you know, reminding them that you're in the business and that you care about them and that you want to help them and their family and friends out. So yeah, that's the way to do it. Well, it's one of the ways to do it.
Yeah, well, and you started your call saying, started this conversation saying that you have pretty low overhead besides some Facebook leads that you probably pay $1.50 for. You don't have a lot of overhead, or at least expenses in the marketing, yet those events that you do, which it sounds like you do pretty low cost things, give you an opportunity to really build those relationships and stay connected and be top of mind with the people that are in your database, in your sphere of influence.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I guess my mindset is like, we did a event over at Three Daughters Brewery, and I'd rather spend, let's just say, $5,000 on an event than give that money to Zillow and maybe see a return, right? So, and you know, it wasn't even about getting referrals there. It was just like, hey, let's go have a good time, and like, I want to be able to pour into my people. So, you know, that's just yeah, we do keep a low overhead just so we do have the opportunity to do things like that for sure.
Right. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. So, let's talk a little bit about, now that we've had the stay-at-home order in place, and I know the world is starting to open up, at least here in St. Pete.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how your daily routine has changed and what's changed in your business.
Yeah. So, you know, when it first started, and like, again, the mission was to call our people, right, and figure out what's going on in their lives and how can we help them. So for all of our active listings at the point when this went down, obviously we're stocking them up with sanitizer and mask and Lysol wipes and just making sure the sellers are comfortable with showings and all that good stuff. And then, again, just seeing what our people need, whether it's toilet paper or sanitizers or some extra food, like we were just seeing what we could do to help. And then after the first couple of weeks, after we knocked all of that out, it was, we had to do a lot more virtual stuff. So like with buyers and sellers, the consultations would be a Zoom call, right? Instead of having them come into the office. Now, in the last couple weeks, I may have broken the rules. I've had a couple in-person consultations, but obviously those people were okay with that. I think it's, we just were making sure that our listings were properly prepared. The buyer's agents were obviously well aware of what the expectation was from them. Sellers, we just wanted to make sure everybody's on the same page. So I think we were just obviously a little bit more cautious with when this went down. And I mean, now, so like I said, we didn't come to the office for a while. The last 3 weeks to a month on the DL, we've been popping in the office in the mornings, and it's really just so, one, I can hold the team accountable, and two, I'm an office person. I just can't. I've got 2 kids. I love them to death, and it's a lot more fun to go play in the backyard than it is to go and make calls. So I just we've been in the office, and like I said, it's just our days have shortened up a little bit with all this going on. Just to 1 or 2, we're usually out of here instead of 4 or 5. But I mean, other than that, it's business as usual. We're still making calls. Still, I did an open house this weekend, and it was it was a virtual open house, but it was still kind of cool. So we are, right now, I think it's really important. And obviously Bold is going over, doubling down, right? And I think that's the mindset here on our team, is to just double down on lead generation and just staying focused and having a good mindset moving forward, because we don't know what this is going to look like in 6 months, so just being positive, getting nurtures in our pipeline and seeing how we can help people out.
Right. And please don't beat yourself up for making decisions that are going to work for your business and your family and your team. As long as you're staying socially responsible as far as social distancing and all of that, and for your customers, you're making those decisions to help the people that you have. And just, so I just wanted to say for everybody that's listening too, is that, it is a choice to come in, to go out, to eat at a restaurant now, or take out, and all of those things. We have that choice, and just be socially responsible, and keep social distancing, and we're all going to have to navigate our way throughout this.
Yeah, I agree, Kristen. It comes down to respect, right? There's millions of people. We all have different opinions on a lot of different things. And I think it's obviously collaborating to figure out, how do you feel about this? With sellers and buyers. If I have a seller that says, I don't want any people in my house, I'm certainly not going to say, well, we need to have people in your house, right? So I think it's just about collaborating and understanding the expectations, and then just respecting that, right? So right now is a great time to just be in some open dialogue with. I've been just calling people on my phone, people that I haven't talked to in years that are back home in Ocala, and just checking in on them. And that is awesome. If you're having a bad day of calls, just call somebody they haven't talked to in a couple of years. They're going to be so happy that they heard from you. And it may not lead to business, but who cares, right? You're talking to people, you're going home feeling happy that you just made someone's day. And that's really more fun than, going home feeling like you didn't do anything. So yeah, respect, open dialogue, and just stay positive.
Right. And Ryan, and what happens out of those calls is eventually, people want to be in business with people they love, they trust, they know, and those calls matter to people. We all need to keep our spirits up during this time, and the fact that you're doing that, it matters. And you're right, whether it leads to business or not, that's not necessarily your point. However, you're doing the activity to lead to balance, to business.
Absolutely.
I have to ask, because I keep looking at it. I see pendings behind you. I see this list of buyers. I see some rewards of bowling. Tell me about this board on your wall. What are you tracking back there?
Yeah, I'm a visual person, and I mean, between Troy and Bo and Lisa Spencer and Rachel, I mean, just all the people in our life, they're like, where's your activity? Where's your, if you want to call it your scoreboard, what does that look like? So we, again, and as you grow, and, I'm a rainmaker now, which is kind of a cool name, but a different job for me. Is we have to hold our people accountable because we know what their big why is, and we know why they got into this business and what their goals are. So the board behind me, really, we've got like got a 2020 game plan here that we have all of our goals on, and kind of it's like a big 4-1 essentially for the year for all of us. And then the board is just active listings, pending listings, open house counter. So like I said, before this started, me and Roger were doing an open house every weekend. So we were just tracking that. And then we have a buyer pipeline and a listing pipeline. So that is something that Allie keeps up with. And we go over that pretty much every Monday and Friday just to kind of get an update on where everybody's at in the process. And, again, we brought Sarah on, who's newer into the industry. So just making sure that there's clear air there, and that she has a follow-up and a game plan, because with new agents, sometimes getting it closed is the hardest part. You can be really nice and really good on the phones, but asking for the business is sometimes that tough part. So just this is an accountability, I guess, board, and it's for us to either remind ourselves that we're, one, just not making the effort, or two, we're making the effort and just not getting the the goal that we have in mind. And that's just a skill set thing, right? And that can be coached. But the effort is obviously, that can be coached too, but it's a two-way thing. So we just have this so everybody's on the same page, and everybody kind of knows what the expectations and goals are for this year.
Awesome. And a reward of bowling.
Yes. So
I want an invitation, please.
Yeah. So one thing, you know me, Kristen, I'm a fun guy. Well, I like to think I have fun. And and I love being in the position I'm in. Like, if I can help change Roger, one of my best friends for several years now, if I can help him change his life, and if I can help my sister-in-law, my brother change their lives, and, that's really cool to me. Like, that's just as important to me as it is like me and Allie's business. So, we like to work hard, play hard. So on Friday, usually Friday afternoon, and again, this has kind of changed with the pandemic, but on Friday afternoons, we usually do door hanging before an open house, or we might do a door hanging in one of our farms. So that usually is like from like 8 to 11 or 8 to 12. And then after that, we either go downtown and hit a brewery, or go over to Tampa and do something over there, go to Armature Works, or this Friday we're going to go bowling just because I guess that's open again. So it's really just like a time for us to reflect on the week and have some fun as a team. And I think, it's just a little fun for us. So this week's bowling. Yeah.
I mean, that you're creating a subculture within your own group.
Yeah.
Of work hard, play hard, like you said. So that's awesome. So what else has changed? Obviously, going from being a member on a team,
Mm-hmm.
and being were you buyer's agent on those teams?
So I could do both on the teams. I was list and buy, but mostly buyer side in my first year. I had like 2 or 3.
I noticed last year that you did a pretty equal buyer side, sell side.
Yep.
So, and then you went to an individual agent, correct? You were
Yes.
all the single agents. I mean, you were an individual agent. And then now you are what you called a rainmaker, what we call a rainmaker.
Mm-hmm.
So going from that individual agent to a rainmaker, where you have a team, you're the CEO of a company that you're running right now, what has changed besides now you have other people to hold accountable as you do yourself, because you've talked about that a lot.
Yep.
What else has changed in how you've had to think, or what you've had to do because you still have an active role in your real estate business. You still take listings and work with
Yes.
buyers? Yeah.
No, I don't work with buyers anymore.
The listing side.
So, and that was something that Bo really stressed to me, was and I think it's value, right? I think it's value to the consumer, because if we all have a specific role, then we're not it's a specific role, your job. So Roger is an incredible buyer's agent, way better than I was. And Allie, my wife, she does like all the director. She's like operations, and she's way better than I was. You can ask Bob. Like I would have a closing and be requesting a DA the day of closing.
Oh,
So
we still love you, Ryan.
yes, I was that guy. So I remember, I was a single agent. Like I said, I got busy again. Like I had like 6 or 7 deals pending at one time, and I remember being so overwhelmed. And that's when I got kind of Allie involved. So I'd say like what's changed. Is one, I'm not running around with my head cut off. Like I feel like I have just one job, well, multiple jobs, but my main job is to list homes. And then 2, like Allie is so good at her job that I don't even have to really like double check everything that she's doing. So I would say, we all have a very clear understanding of our role. And then it just makes me like, I have just such a better life work balance now. And that's the most important thing for me. Right. So when I was a single agent, I was stressing and thinking about work all the time until, I went to sleep. I'd sometimes wake up in the middle of the night and be thinking about something that I had to do. And now I can go home at 3:00 and feel like my time is with my girls and I don't have to worry about work unless obviously a call comes in or something. But so I would just say like the work-life balance, there's leverage, right? And we talk about leverage, and that's the next step is the whole leverage piece. And I trust Roger and Allie and Sarah wholeheartedly. So like I can go home and kind of be at peace more than I was as a single, not that I didn't trust myself, but I mean, let's be real. I wasn't getting DAs until the day before. So
I have 2 things to say about this. One, Ryan, is that I was reminded by Gary Keller this morning listening to that podcast that we were forerunners in actually helping agents get paid at the table. And it reminded me that that's a privilege, that you have that opportunity to get paid the day of your closing. That didn't be standard, and there's still companies out there who don't do that.
That blows my mind.
I take that for granted that our agents have that as a piece of value, that they get paid right when they close. So
it's definitely
talent in place to make sure that happens now, because that you mentioned leverage, and leverage is systems and models, tools, and people. And you have created a team of talent around you so that they're doing the things that you described, not self-described, you described as things that you weren't as good at or they are better at than you were. And that means you surrounded yourself with talent so that you can be, use your talents to the highest.
I mean, I think you look at any CEO or really successful person, and a lot of times those people are just telling you like they put really good people around. I mean, Gary Keller said it, like he's just put incredible people around him, and the guy's amazing and like probably been successful anyway, but I mean, he put the right people around him to grow into the #1 real estate company in the world. So I think you have to know, and that's one thing my father-in-law like stressed to me when I was in college, is like understanding your weaknesses and your strengths, and also understanding the people around you's weaknesses and strengths. And everybody's going to have a weakness, and you don't need to call them out for it, but you really need to utilize them for their strengths and what they're good at. So, so Allie, I knew she was very detail oriented and, is already holds me accountable enough. So I knew that she would be the perfect fit. And talent pushes you, right? Like I want people to push me and challenge me a little bit. So we've got that here at Curb Appeal Homes.
I love it. Ryan Kirby, Curb Appeal. That's very cute. Very cute. Very good PR there.
It's a PR, and it worked out for sure.
So if you were if you were talking to another agent who's an individual agent and they're thinking about their life the way that you just described it, as they don't sleep at night, they wake up in the middle of the night, and they are thinking about all the things they need to get done, what advice would you give them on taking the steps to actually form a team and become a CEO of a business that you're actually running and hiring talent?
So a couple of things, like do the 30, 60, 90, probably do career visioning, and, know yourself, right? Because like, if you're not the type of person that works well with other people, then you probably shouldn't be a team leader. And I'm not trying to be a jerk, but like, that's your role, is to like be a leader and to give direction and to collaborate. And so yeah, do the career visioning, do the KPIs, make sure you understand the candidate's profile really well. And just start them on 30, 60, 90. If like even with my friends, like Roger knows that we brought him on and he's a great friend of ours, but I had to have that fierce conversation of, if you're not cutting it, then unfortunately, like, it's not going to work out. So I would just say, one, know that your time is going to be limited, right? Like, you're not going to have the whole day to do what you're used to doing because you have to pour into people. But once they're bought in and know the systems and the vision, I mean, that's where the leverage comes in. So I would just say, don't rush into it. Luckily I have an amazing wife who is super talented and smart. So that kind of worked out for me. But the first hire probably needs to be an admin, right? And then, just feel it out as you're progressing and getting more business. You may not need a buyer's agent. Maybe you can just hire a showing assistant and you just pay them, for every house that they show. There's several models there. But I would say the first step is get the admin, but also, like I said, just be ready to pour a lot of time into them, and also know like what your personality is and what their personality profile is. That way you can maybe limit some of those fierce conversations down the road.
Right. I love that. Well, one, you highlighted a lot of models and tools that we have in place here, right? The career visioning model of actually hiring people well, and that isn't, you're right, it takes some time investment to hire well. Yet you save so much time on the back end when you get the right people in the right seats on the bus, right?
Absolutely.
And we've got other tools like the KPA that you really can understand where somebody's personality and skill sets match up with what that role that they'd be filling is. And I also love that you use the MREA model and actually talked about hiring an admin first. So great advice. Thank you for sharing all of that.
Thank you. I learned it from Keller Williams.
You're a smart guy. Okay, so tell me what is next for I'm trying to remember, Curb Appeal Homes. What is next for you guys? What is next for you? Where are you growing to?
So we're good as far as growing. Like my goal has always been to keep a smaller dynamic team. So like I think this is probably, we'll stay at 4 people for probably, unless things happen, but for definitely this year and probably next year. So it's just me, Allie, and Roger and Sarah. So we're kind of like the Walseths, like keeping it in the family a little bit. And but I would say the goal for this year is to do 20 million. So we wanted to double last year's, or a little more than double last year's production, because we knew obviously we were going to be bringing Roger on. Allie's got all the systems in place. So that's still the goal. It's really, making sure like I said, we've all gone over the personal goals for each of our team members. So just trying to stay focused on the 4-on-1s. It's daily, right? So it's like Gary says, you have to look long-term, but you have to like go to your 5-year, and then you have to go to your 1 year, and then you have to go to your week, and then you have to go to right now, your day, and then you have to go to right now. And that's really like what our mindset is just what can we do right now to move the needle a little bit more forward. And a good friend of mine, Doug Wagner, he said it best. I was talking to him on Thursday, and the consistent activities bring consistent results. So that is what we are trying to do, is just stay consistent with what we're doing. And if we hit 20 million, hell yeah. If we come a little short and we still made those activities and we all go home happy, hell yeah. Like, I'm still proud of our team. So I think it's just, like I said, keep moving the needle forward in the right direction, and just keeping these guys happy and motivated and bought into, the Keller Williams culture.
Awesome. Ryan, shout out, of course, to Doug Wagner of Cross Country.
Yeah.
Yes, awesome. And you were talking about this, and one of my questions that I didn't ask yet, you answered it, is how have your goals changed through the pandemic? What, if you haven't yet, Ben Kinney, Ben, of course.
We're good friends.
I'm sure you are. And he's got a podcast called Win, Make, Give. And episode 23 talks about how he talks about in that, about how he doesn't even make annual goals. he truly works to the now, and it's a really interesting mentality, especially in the where we're at right now in the world. I challenge you to take a listen to that. You have provided so much value today in just telling your story, and I so appreciate it. I am watching you. I can't wait to see you soar. You have a cheerleader. I'm expecting great things out of Kirby.
I appreciate that, Kristen.
Yes. And I can't wait to meet Allie. I haven't gotten to meet her yet. So
I know. She's like just the secret sauce, the secret weapon, and a hell of a mom. So, but she will have to get together once all this stuff is moving back to normal. And I appreciate your support. I appreciate obviously Keller Williams' support. Happy to always, if to any of you guys that are new or need help or have questions, like, you got my cell phone number, give me a call. Always happy to help, because I was there too. Like I said, I got into real estate being broke, not having any idea what to do, didn't come from a very wealthy family, didn't have a sphere of influence here because I'm not from here, like every excuse in the book. And in 4 years, like Gary says, in 5 years, your whole life can change, right? And I'm at my 4th year, and I feel like my whole life has already changed already. So just keep being bought into the system and to the culture, and I promise you good things will come in return. So thank you, Kristen, and thank you.
I have the chills, I just have to say. And
no, but I'm being 100% serious. And
I know you are.
It's just, I'm so grateful for where we're at right now. So thank you, and thanks to obviously Troy, everybody that's helped us get there. I love you guys, and I appreciate y'all.
Well, congratulations, Ryan. We are here for you, and I can't wait to share this with so many people because your story is really powerful. So thank you.
Thanks. Well, hey, let's get a drink soon.
That sounds great.
See ya. Take care.